Hey everyone, what's going on? Jeff here from Films at Home, and today's video is going to be some 4K reviews, but it's going to be a little different than usual. You may be able to tell by my voice I've been fighting some pretty nasty allergies. I don't know if it's a cold or if it's allergies or what's going on, but I was knocked out over Memorial Day weekend. I was out of commission, and so rather than trying to crank out 3 different videos, and that could take a couple weeks for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to consolidate some 4K reviews, do a little 4K review roundup here, and make sure that I get these reviews out there for you all on a couple of titles that I've been meaning to review. So in today's video, we're going to first take a look at Saw on 4K. Purchased this from a seller on Mercari just the other day. We're going to take a look at Django on 4K from Arrow Video. And then we're going to take a look at The Sting on 4K. Here again, I've got the UK limited edition box set with the steelbook. So we'll talk about that packaging, but also audio and visual for all 3 of these releases. And ultimately, whether it's worth an upgrade or not. So each review should take about 5 to 6 minutes. I'll be moving a little bit quicker than I typically do to get this all into a roughly 15 to 20 minute video, so hopefully you stick with me for all this. But let's jump right into it with Saw on 4K. So Saw is now coming to 4K courtesy of Lionsgate, and obviously really good timing with the new Saw movie Spiral from the Book of Saw coming out. And the Saw movie that, this movie kicked off this massive Saw franchise, which I actually really loved, even as cheesy as it got, towards the end. I love the characters, I love the universe that it created, and it's a really, really interesting story. And the first movie here, Saw, is still probably the best of the bunch. So I was excited to see that come to 4K. Now the 4K transfer here from a visual standpoint is pretty solid. It's a nice upgrade over the Blu-ray, which was fairly blue and had a lot of color tinting going on, which I never loved. I know it's a stylistic choice, but I thought it was a little bit overdone. This 4K release with HDR helps kind of balance the color tint out a little bit, and it also adds a lot more detail. The movie is still very grainy, so don't get me wrong, that's another stylistic choice that was made. It's an extremely grainy picture, but having the 4K resolution and a new 4K master certainly makes that a better experience than the Blu-ray gave you. And it's also a remastered Blu-ray as well on this disc. They actually have different aspect ratios than what was on the previous Blu-ray release, so that's interesting. And I think that this is now the correct aspect ratio, and that means the Blu-ray disc has also been improved. So both 4K and Blu-ray were remastered for this release, and I think it's very, very good visually. And if you're a fan of the Saw movies, especially this first one, which really is the standout still of that entire series in my opinion, I think that you'll really like this visual upgrade, and it'll be worth it, especially at the pretty decent price point this is selling at. I got this from a seller on Mercari for only about $13. So you can get some pretty good deals out there on the used market, maybe after people use digital codes like this person did. Now, not only do we get 4K with Dolby Vision HDR, but we also get an excellent Dolby Atmos audio track on both the Blu-ray and the 4K. So that's an additional reason to upgrade. The Atmos sounds great, really adds to the atmospheric horror of the Saw movies, really gives these confined spaces even a little bit more sound to play with. And some of the scarier sequences, Atmos just enhances that, and enhances that atmosphere and that environment in horror movies like this, which I love. And I thought it was a really, really good improvement. I didn't really expect much from Atmos on Saw, but I was pleasantly surprised. Now packaging, you've got your slip cover, you've got a digital copy, like I said, a new Blu-ray, a new 4K, still your special features on both the 4K and on the Blu-ray, which is great. There's commentaries, there's behind the scenes stuff, all the things you'd expect, and a nice slip cover overall makes this a definite upgrade. If you like horror movies, if you like the Saw franchise, this is a must-have for your collection. I'm not sure if the rest of the movies will come to 4K. I would say it's probably unlikely that all of them will come to 4K, but at least we get this first one, the best one of the series, and it's definitely worth a purchase in my opinion, especially at that great price point. So next up, we're going to dive into Django here, which is a new 4K release from Arrow Video. Arrow Video does a lot of horror and cult movies, but they're also very well known for their foreign films, especially like Japanese martial arts, crime movies, Italian giallo, and also the spaghetti western. So Django is a spaghetti western and one of the most famous out there. There's a reason why Tarantino went with the name Django Unchained in the character of Django for his movie, and Franco Nero, who plays Django, actually appears in that movie in a cameo. So it's a very well-respected western, but it probably doesn't get as much recognition as, say, the Clint Eastwood Good, the Bad, and the Ugly series, but I think it should. It's a lot of fun to watch. Now, this 4K transfer is impeccable. This was brand new, newly remastered, has Dolby Vision HDR, and it was obviously shot on film being made back in the 60s, and that improvement here is awesome. It's really amazing, the quality on this release. The grain structure is damn near perfect. The color timing in that HDR is a massive upgrade over what was available on Blu-ray, and I love what Arrow Video has done with this presentation. They continue to show that, you know, when it comes to visuals and what they're doing on their releases, and just overall, the beautiful packaging, everything they do, sometimes quality can trump quantity. I know we all want as many 4K releases as we can, but when these smaller studios like Arrow can crank out even one of these level of transfers each month, like we got with Donnie Darko, like we're getting with Django, if they can do this type of thing even once a month, or even just 6 to 7 times a year, the quality is amazing, and I'll take the quality over the quantity any day. So this gets high marks for picture quality. I would definitely recommend picking it up for that reason alone, never mind all the other great stuff that comes with this. Now, the audio is just an uncompressed mono 1.0 audio track, so single channel track. Some receivers may display that. It may use both your front speakers. If you have a center speaker and 2 fronts, it should just use the center. That should be the way it does it. But it's uncompressed mono audio. It's the way it was meant to be seen and heard. And yeah, you're not getting Atmos or some advanced 5.1, 7.1 DTS HD type track here, but it is original to the source. It's the way the director and the the art directors, the sound editors, it's the way that they intended this movie to be heard. And so I can appreciate that with Arrow. Sometimes they'll give you that additional track as well, but on this release they are sticking with the 1.0 mono, but it is uncompressed and really high quality audio. Just make sure you have a strong center channel to take full advantage of that. And now for special features in the packaging, of course, beautiful slipcase here. On the inside, you've got your 4K package, which comes with the 4K disc as well as a Blu-ray. There's also a poster in here, as well as a pretty long booklet. Let's see, how many pages is this? About 55 pages, just full of information on the movie, behind the scenes type stuff, artwork, all the kind of good stuff you expect from Arrow Video. And then those posters are also incredible, and I actually think I'm going to get one of these framed. Now, the other cool thing about this release is that yes, it has the 4K copy of Django, which you can see here, as well as some like lobby art cards, which are nice, but it also includes Franco Nero's another movie, Texas Adios, which in some countries was actually released as a sequel to this Django movie, and it's an entirely new Blu-ray transfer over there, and you just get it as an added bonus with this. So you're really buying 2 movies for the price of 1, and with all the special features, the packaging, everything that goes into this limited edition, plus the quality, it's a no-brainer. It's like 40 bucks, so it's a pricey release, but if you love spaghetti westerns and you love old movies, Django is a must-have for your collection, and this 4K does not disappoint. Always quality over quantity when it comes to Arrow Video. So now, last but not least, we're moving on to The Sting here on 4K for the first time from Universal. Movie stars Robert Redford and Paul Newman, massive stars of their time. So, you know, imagine this is like Christian Bale and Brad Pitt teaming up together. This was a huge deal. And it also has Robert Shaw, who this was prior to Jaws, so that was kind of the role most people know him for, Quint in Jaws, but he's also in this movie, plays an awesome character as he always does. So there's a great cast that goes with this movie, and it's basically about 2 kind of con men, gambler types, and it just tells the story of this sting operation. So now I referenced quality over quantity when it came to Arrow Video, and that's interesting here because it applies to this as well. This came out on the same day as Animal House from Universal, and Animal House was one of the 4K transfers I've been most surprised by. I really liked that transfer and thought it was a great upgrade over the Blu-ray. That was a quality release, but they also put out 2 releases on that day, and the Sting, unfortunately, was the worst of the 2. This 4K is just not that impressive, and although it does bring all the great, the added resolution helps and it looks a little bit better. HDR certainly helps in some scenes. They haven't done anything stupid with this where I'd say this is a terrible transfer. They didn't do digital noise reduction. They didn't screw up the image, but they just simply didn't do enough, in my opinion, to make it look much better than the Blu-ray. I would say 99%, the average consumer out there, most people would pick this up on 4K and be pretty disappointed with how it looks. I did not have a great experience. This was not a wow disc for me, and I just wouldn't really recommend it over your Blu-ray that you may already have. If you don't already have the movie, then you might as well pick it up on 4K. It's definitely the best that it's looked on home video, but when we're thinking about upgrading and spending, $20 or $25 when you already own a copy of the movie, that's going to be a really hard sell for me. I think this is just a middle of the pack, pretty average 4K disc. I'd give it like a 3, a 2.5, or a 3 out of 5. And with that kind of average rating, I can't recommend double dipping to buy this on 4K. If you have your Blu-ray, you're going to get almost the same experience, and like I said, most people won't be able to tell the difference between the two. So now for this release, again, just packaging wise, really quick, you are going to be able to get this as a standard edition. It also has a steelbook edition in the US, and then this, what I have here, is the UK limited edition. So that comes with like a poster on the inside, roughly the same steelbook, although again, it doesn't have the title on the front. And then it adds this little booklet, which has, some script excerpts, a little bit behind the scenes on the casting, the cinematography, and then again, some more art cards, which are available in this envelope. So a little bit more of a, a complete total package from the UK, which is always nice to see. So if you're a collector and you really like things that look great on a shelf, the steelbook is one thing, but kind of going with this full package with the steelbook could be a next step up. That's an option for all of you out there. But overall, I can't say I'd recommend the Sting on 4K. It's just not up to par technically with a lot of other catalog stuff we've seen, even from Universal on the same day. Remember, quality over quantity, I'll take that every day. And unfortunately, they went with quantity. They put out 2 classics from the 70s on 4K, and only one of them really hit for me in the Sting, unfortunately. Although it was the one I was, most looking forward to, it was the one I was probably least impressed with. That's all for these 4K reviews, and that's the end of this 4K review roundup. I will have one more 4K review coming very soon on Smokey and the Bandit, which I just recently purchased, so I'll be covering that. And then in June we have Indiana Jones. We got a couple new releases like Godzilla, and we've also got Willy Wonka coming up at the end of the month. So June is going to be packed full of great 4K reviews, so make sure you're subscribed and have your notifications on so you know when those go live. Follow me on TikTok and on Instagram. Links are down in the description. And if you'd like to purchase any of the 4K movies that were covered in this review roundup, there'll be links to buy those in the description as well, which helps support my channel, so I appreciate that. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this little review roundup, a little bit of a different format, but I wanted to get all this information out there to you, and I thought I could do it all in one video without needing 3 separate ones. So let me know if you liked that. As more 4K reviews come in, I'll always cover the high, big priority releases like Indiana Jones or Willy Wonka. I'll cover those individually, but sometimes when you get a back stack of a few different 4K releases, I may have to combine them. So let me know if you liked this type of roundup video. It may be something I have to use more in the future. It's a one-man shop here. It's just me doing all this, so creating all the content can take some time, and sometimes I may have to use this format. So let me know what you thought. But other than that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe and stay healthy out there, and I will talk to you soon.